It's 7 p.m. Hello, good evening, and welcome to our major news bulletin for the day. My name is Kwesi Asare.
And I am Portia. Gabor coming up tonight.
The Ghana Health Service races against time to avert an imminent health crisis as it rolls out a massive cholera vaccination drive targeting some 300,000 people on Friday.
Minority Caucus accuses government of using state security to persecute past appointees in the erstwhile NPP administration, a dangerous path they intend to resist.
Also ahead in the bulletin tonight, the High Court in Accra has discharged former GFA President Kwesi Nyantakyi over fraud and corruption allegations in the number 12 investigative expose by Anas Aremiao Anas.
In business, financial economist Dr. Boachi Yado urges government to boost tax revenue to avoid international borrowing.
And in news elsewhere, Liberian President Joseph Boakai suspends more than 450 top government officials for failing to declare their assets. We've got details of all these stories, plus many more coming up in the next 60 minutes. Remember, we're streaming live on Facebook. We're also live on your DSTV channel 279. You can join us with your views, comments, and suggestions on any of our top stories this hour. Feel free to visit any of our social media pages on Facebook and on X.
About 300,000 persons from age 1 and above have been earmarked by the Ghana Health Service for a cholera vaccination exercise within the Greater Accra region from tomorrow, Friday, February 14, to Monday, February 17. The exercise, which will take place in 3 sub-metros of the region, Abilikuma South, Ukaikwe South, and Ashedu Keteke, seeks to complement efforts to control and contain the cholera outbreak in the country.
Since the outbreak of cholera in Ghana, more than 6,000 suspected cases have been recorded, with over 500 confirmed. Out of the figure of confirmed cases, the Greater Accra has recorded the highest number with over 200 of the cases. The Efutu and Agona West districts in the central region remain the disease hotspots. The Greater Accra region is the latest to hold the exercise, following a successful campaign in both the western and central regions. Program manager for the expanded program on immunization, Dr. Kwame Amponsa-Chiano, noted the efficacy of the vaccine and its relevance to the control measures against the disease.
If you look at what has happened in, say, Kaswa, the Ewutu Senya East Municipal, and Takrady, Western region in particular, you can tell that the vaccines really work. Because you remember we had issues when we had a lot of cases in Assem, that's Ewutu Senya. We tried to do the vaccination. We were successful, and within 1 week of starting the vaccination, we saw a quantum dip in the cases, and so we know the vaccines work. Completely not get any infection of cholera, but you will still get people who may. But when you have a lot of people, you know, in epidemiology, I mean, in epidemics, we have a lot of people protected. The rest who are unprotected are even protected. First of all, we have about 500 confirmed cases nationally, and this is historical data, right from the time we started in August. I would say Greater Accra is contributing about 200. But essentially, we have more than 6,000 suspected cases.
He further charged the media to tackle the issue from the root cause and assist in educating the people about cleanliness.
I would rather challenge the media to rather look at the root cause, because open defecation is a big problem. Health will always be at the receiving end. Incidentally, cholera also thrives in filth. In fact, cholera is a disease of filth. It's actually feces. It's water. It's about sanitation. We don't have the mandate to do that. So we will only try to do the education, but the responsibility of the others. We work with them all right, but I think that we should do a bit more in terms of the law enforcement.
All guardians are encouraged to ensure their children participate in this essential vaccination efforts to help curb the ongoing cholera risk in the region.
All right, so let me take you through some key statistics regarding this cholera pandemic. So far, what do we know? We know that there have been some over 6,000 suspected cases of cholera recorded nationwide, with a little over 500 cases confirmed. Also, we know that 200 plus cases have been confirmed in the Greater Accra region, which is the highest so far in terms of regional breakdown. We also know that 80% of the infected individuals show no signs of symptoms at all. That's making the transmission very difficult to detect. Following from that, we're going to take you through a breakdown of the regional distribution in terms of the cholera outbreak. We know, as we mentioned earlier on, the Greater Accra region has the largest concentration of the cases, followed by the Central region, the Western region, and the Eastern region. Now, so what are the symptoms of this cholera pandemic? We know, for instance, that there's profuse watery diarrhea, which is often described as rice water stool. The victims often will be vomiting. There is severe dehydration. You have dry mouth, sunken eyes, excessive thirst. There's also muscle cramps, rapid heartbeat as well. These are some of the symptoms that you're likely to see when you're suffering from this pandemic. Now, what are the precautionary measures? So what you have to do is to boil, treat, or use bottled water for drinking and cooking. You've got to wash your hands frequently with soap and clean water, especially before eating or preparing food. You've got to avoid raw or undercooked seafood, wash fruits frequently and vegetables thoroughly, and consume only well-cooked meals. You've also got to use clean toilet facilities, avoid open defecation, and dispose of waste hygienically. If you experience severe diarrhea or dehydration, visit a health facility promptly for treatment.
Thank you so much, Kwesi. Let's now go to Parliament, where the minority has condemned the Special Prosecutor's description of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta as a fugitive. According to the caucus, government is using the security to persecute past appointees in the as-well NPP administration, a dangerous path they intend to resist. Deputy Minority Leader Patricia P.J. has demanded that government ceases further harassment of former appointees and uphold the rule of law.
Yesterday, February 12, 2025, the OSP, subsequent to the raid, has also, without recourse to law and due process, announced at a press conference that he considers Mr. Ofori-Atta a suspect and a fugitive. This is shocking. When no charges have even been proffered against the former finance minister. Another matter that demands the attention of the public is the glaring bias and selective justice being exhibited by state security agencies in the administration of their duties. If the NIB is truly committed to upholding law and order, it must explain why the minority chief whip was swiftly summoned for interrogation over his comments, while the Deputy Director of Operations at the presidency, who openly threatened the minority leader's life, was allowed to walk free. We will not remain silent while political persecution takes root in Ghana. We demand an immediate, transparent, and independent investigation into these politically motivated attacks and insist that those responsible be held accountable.
Meanwhile, Minority Leader Alexander Penyumarkins has revealed that conversations with former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta indicates that he is very low in spirits after being labelled a fugitive of justice by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. He, however, thanked the Majority Leader for his assurance that the human rights of suspects under investigations will be protected.
He's making his name in the politics of our country. Is exemplary and must be commended. Leader, I want to assure you that our side would engage you constructively. Let's do the politics in a very decent way. Let's respect each other. Let's use words that are complementary. Don't let us use this platform to denigrate even our leaders. Sometimes the way we go after our leaders, the little said about it, the better. And let me caution all of us. The 2024 elections, check the percentage turnout. In Central, we didn't go beyond 60%. In Volta, around the same figures. In Ashanti, Upper East, Upper West, Greater Accra, the mighty Greater Accra, where all the politics is done. Find out the percentage turnout. What it means is that a percentage of our population is getting fed up with the political class because of our conduct. Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, as at this morning, I had an extensive engagement with him. He's traumatized by the labeling of this adjective described to his person. But he still knows that his God is with him. He's undergoing some medical procedure. In fact, I had an early morning engagement with the Chief of Staff who confirmed that indeed Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta wrote to him and is in receipt of the letter. I will also engage the Office of the Special Prosecutor, engage constructively, assure him and his office that if there was any miscommunication, I, as a leader of my side, is assuring him that the man will make himself available. He left the country with permission. He would come, and if there is anything that has to be investigated, he will make himself available.
Meanwhile, the Majority Leader, Mahama Yariga, says his interactions with the National Security Coordinator, Interior and Defense Ministers have confirmed reports that the private residence of former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta was indeed raided by security operatives earlier this week. He has since apologized on behalf of the agencies and assured of the commitment of various security agencies to ensure that the fundamental human rights are protected in the discharge of their duties.
The Deputy Minority Whip sought leave of the Speaker and the indulgence of the House to raise a matter that he thought was of urgent public importance. He drew attention to a joint police-military entry into the private residence of the former Minister of Finance, Honorable Ken Ofori-Atta. Mr. Speaker, it is true that the private residence of the former Minister of Finance was entered into by operatives of the military and the police led by the somebody who we believe works at the National Security Coordinator's Office. Mr. Speaker, his name is Mr. Jakwa. Mr. Speaker, we have investigated the matter And we want to say and assure our fellow countrymen and our colleagues in this House that we have received assurances from the Office of the National Security Coordinator that it was not intended that that should happen, and that occurrence is most regrettable and unfortunate, and he wants to give this House his word and assurance that a thing like that should never happen again. Mr. Speaker, I have also spoken with the Minister of Interior, who has spoken with his IGP, and I've spoken with the Minister of Defense, and all of them give their assurance to this House that a thing like that will not happen again. And so, Mr. Speaker, let me indicate to my colleagues on the other side that this side of the House remain committed to ensuring that this country is reset, that its institutions function properly, that its officials act in accordance with the law, and that the rights and liberties of every citizen are upheld and protected under the regime of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
In other news tonight, Interior Minister Muntaka Mohammed Mubarak has directed a newly inaugurated committee to develop a clear roadmap for recruitment into the country's security services, ensuring the process is fair, transparent and merit-based. The minister emphasized the need for reforms to uphold integrity in the enlistment process.
The minister emphasized the need for the committee, citing widespread concerns over recruitment challenges. He also tags the team with developing a roadmap to navigate the complex issues of recruiting party supporters into the security services.
There's a lot of concern that this recruitment that really happened in 2024 was in a rush. It wasn't done properly. But you see, you just don't go taking what people say on the streets on the surface value. You need to get facts and you have to get information. And then we are in a country that we need to face reality. Yeah, I mean, people form party, the party form government, and they expect certain things like when you are doing recruitment, what should happen? We should let it bear open. Are we going to find a neat way of marrying merit, party, and the general public? Should we stick strictly to merit and the general public, and then playing ostriches that political parties do not matter? What do we do?
He expressed utmost confidence in the committee's ability to address all challenges and concerns surrounding the recruitment process.
In certain of this committee, you see that I came in with experts. I mean, if you look at all the persons, I try as much as possible to take away the possibility of excessive partisanship. So it is virtually a kind of fact-finding and also sense of giving direction into the future, what we should do.
We can now connect with security consultant and lecturer at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Dr. Victor Doke. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. So what will you be expecting from this committee, especially now that there appears to be general concerns about the recruitment of unqualified personnel into the various security services?
Well, thank you very much. I think I would expect that the committee's work should be very apolitical. Now, when I say apolitical, it means that devoid of the fact that they have been, inaugurated into this process by the minister, most of the times you would expect that committees working in this regard would tend to put in some recommendations or advice that would tend to favor, the minister or the ruling government, which shouldn't be the case. Now, with the tax that they've been given to, now one would expect all the citizens, those of us who are worried about party agents, being brought into the security service, a sensitive institution. Now, this should be done in a way that devoid of party politics, devoid of any kind of links with any party hierarchy, or for that matter, any minister. Now, going forward, I think what can be done is holistically look at the processes. Yes, we have a laid out roadmap, but then I would have expected that it would have kept in a sort of like tax to review the existing roadmap and then add to wherever the challenges or gaps are, existing. Now, from what I heard from the minister, then it means that we are looking at how we can marry what the two. And then he also mentioned, yes, we cannot, deny the fact that there are, party people who expect that they would also have, a seat or a place in the security services. But then, should it be the case that the committee should, finish its work and then put in place how, the marriage of what party agents and then the security services would, or the quota or whatever that they will come up with? I'm very much keen to see the outcome of the committee's work or the report or the recommendations regards to what party agents, their ability or lack of a better word, their involvement or their place, whether they merit it or not, and how the committee is going to put that in perspective. It is very interesting. And I hope that this should be done in a neutral way. Other than that, then it means that whatever recommendations that will come out with regards to party, agents having a place in the security services will be something that can be what? Enshrined, and it will cost us more than we can envisage.
So, do you think, for instance, that the protocol-based recruitment, that's indicated by Minority Leader Penyo Markin during his vetting process, will be put to halt by this latest committee setup?
Now, that's one of the things where I'm going to follow up keenly. Now, we cannot, as a people, deny the fact that this protocol list exists. Now, as he has categorically stated in, those times as he remarked, it existed in that time. And now, going forward, we are going to see if we're going to have issues with regards to protocol lists. Of course, if you should have, then it won't be in the quantum where we had, but maybe minimal. That exists with us. It exists in our politics as of today. We cannot take it away. But whether the committee is going to put a recommendation with regards to that one, we are yet to see, right? Because they've just been inaugurated, and we hope that in view of that context, that should be what? Something that shouldn't be entertained in our security agencies. Because you're talking about sensitive, institutions that deal with sensitive informations, and then you need competent people, right, who can analyze issues, who can analyze intelligence, and based on those intelligence, make out or bring out recommendations for you to act on. And you cannot just have, protocol lists that is bringing in people who don't know anything about the agency which they are going to work with. So I'm keenly, going to follow up with regards to the outcome of the recommendations of the committee on this protocol lists, whether they will curb it, they put a stop to it, or they are going to recommend what? A quota, as I said earlier on, either party agents having a quota in the security services or the protocol list quota or whatever. We are yet to see what's going to happen to that.
Thank you very much, Victor Doke, for your time. We really do appreciate you joining us here on News 360.
In more news tonight, an Accra High Court has discharged former Ghana Football Association President Kwesi Nyantakyi after 5 years of tussle over his involvement in the number 12 expose by investigative journalist Anas Arimiya-Awanas. Failure of prosecution to present Anas Arimiya-Awanas has resulted in the former GFA president walking free, a report by Lord Asare.
The president was facing charges of fraud and corruption over his involvement in Anas Arimiya-Awanas' investigation expose number 12. Former Northern Regional Representative of the GFA, Abdullah Al-Hassan, was also charged with conspiracy to commit fraud. They both pleaded not guilty and were on a 1 million cedi bail with 3 sureties. The prosecution had since 2021 been struggling to produce investigative journalist Anas Arimiya-Awanas to testify in court, whereas the defense lawyers wanted Anas to testify without his initial appearance. Eventually, the High Court ruled that the investigative journalist testified after unmasking before the former GFA president in chambers. But on January 30, 2025, a 3-member panel of the Court of Appeal quashed the ruling of the High Court judge and ordered that Anas remove his mask and testify in open court, should he decide to testify as a witness. When the case was called on Thursday, February 13, Anas Arimio Anas was absent, causing prosecution to pray for another adjournment in order to put the house in order following the ruling of the Court of Appeal. But lawyers of Nyantakyi argue that the case had been delayed for far too long due to the prosecution's inability to produce the key witness. They therefore pray the court to strike out the charges against their clients. Presiding Judge Marie-Louise Simmons, after listening to the parties, agreed with the defense lawyers, noting that although the prosecution had listed 5 witnesses, it had failed to call on them. She therefore discharged Kwesi Nyantakyi and Abdullah Al-Hassan, pending fresh charges are proffered against them and the case reopened. Lodido Asare, TV3 News, Accra.
In other news, the acting director of the National Service Authority, Felix Gyamfi, has called on auditing firms to help review the current system in use by the authority following the discovery of over 80,000 ghost names on the payroll. He described the scandal as a failure by the outgone leadership who sidestepped the system to have their way.
On Wednesday, February 12th, President John Mahama directed the National Investigations Bureau to launch an immediate investigation into the operations of the National Service Authority following the discovery of up to 81,885 suspected ghost names on the payroll under the previous government. Acting Director General of the National Service Authority, Felix Gyamfi, expressed disappointment in the outgone leadership of the authority and noted that his outfit will help bring the persons culpable to book.
Not to the extent that you allowed 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 ghost names in the system. That is immoral. That is criminal. And we will give everything, we will do everything for those who perpetrated this fraud to be brought to the book. The Director General didn't go to the schools to input the names, illegal names in the system by himself. Some people did it. The Director General didn't get fictitious Ghana cards or he certainly didn't take pictures of all the tens of thousands of people. He had collaborators. But the least I can say that you can be very sure that it's the last time that we're seeing this.
Reacting to calls for the present system to be changed, the Director General opposed such assertions.
I'm inviting a joint collaboration between the Ghana Journalists Association or the anti-corruption agencies to set up a module or a system in place where we can invite PricewaterhouseCoopers, Ernst & Young, KPMG to immediately audit the system before we consider that, you know what, we have to build new system using different or in set parameters that are available that would help us avoid this ghost name scandal.
He also cautioned unaccredited institutions that the students will miss out on being registered for their national service since the authority will only be engaging with the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission.
If we receive lists from the universities and it does not collaborate with the list the universities have sent to GTech, those lists will be declared invalid.
The Minister of Environment, Science and Technology, Dr. Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed, has called for the demonopolization of Ghana's waste management system to allow more players to take part in waste management. Speaking during a tour of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission, the minister also pledged to promote STEM education, particularly for girls, and collaborate with other ministries to achieve these goals. Christabel Success Trevor has more.
The call for change in Ghana's waste management system comes as the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology pushes for reforms and inclusivity. Currently, Ghana's waste management sector is dominated by a single company, raising concerns over efficiency and service delivery. The minister's call for demonopolization aims to invite more private sector participation. He believes breaking the monopoly will improve efficiency and competition.
My intention is to demonopolize waste management in this country. And when I said it, I was misconstrued. Some people said, oh, I was targeting certain, private entities that are operating. Look, with my experience as a member of the Public Accounts Committee in the last parliament, I came direct in contact with metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies and the challenges that they are confronted with as far as waste management is concerned. those private entities that are engaged in waste management in this country would continue. We would give them all the necessary support for them to continue. But we must broaden it to include local authorities and engage SMEs in the management of waste in this country. If we do so, now we'll create more jobs. We would also improve upon the efficiency and the value for money, because the concerns people have raised about waste management in this country is one, effectiveness, efficiency, and value for money.
In addition to waste reforms, Ibrahim Mutala Mohammed stressed the importance of STEM education. He highlighted plans to partner with the Education Ministry and other stakeholders to promote science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, especially among girls.
The STEM education is limited. We intend to collaborate with the Ministry of Education if we can introduce STEM education at all levels of education and the educational curricula. So yes, we would have a special target for girls, but it should be all embracing, so that if we have it at all levels of our education, that is one way you can have productive innovation. Innovation is good, but it should be productive. And we can do that if we emphasize on the need for everybody to have at least some basic knowledge in science, technology, and engineering education. And that is one thing I intend to do.
The minister's dual focus on environmental reforms and education signals a commitment to sustainable development and human capital growth.
A former Minister of State, Kwesi Nyantakyi, has called on the current Minister of Education to integrate African perspectives and knowledge into the curriculum. He said this would help promote a sense of pride and identity amongst Ghanaian youth. Kwesi Nyantakyi was speaking at the African University of Communications and Business Charter launch.
Renowned Ghanaian scholar and founder of the African University of Communications and Business, Kwesi Nyantakyi, has made a passionate appeal to the Minister of Education to revolutionize the country's educational framework by incorporating indigenous knowledge systems. Speaking at the African University of Communications and Business Charter launch, Kwesi Nyantakyi emphasized that Afrocentric studies would help promote a sense of pride and identity among Ghanaian youth.
Our educational system doesn't teach us anything. We rather learn about other people, but ourselves we don't. So the Education Ministry should be more African-centered. They should give policies that are African-centered. We in Ghana know very little about other countries on the continent.
The Vice-Chancellor of African University of Communications and Business, Professor Abeku Blankson, added that private institutions have been at the forefront of innovative education in Ghana. He said the Ministry of Education recognized the importance of private institutions in complementing the government efforts to provide quality education.
My plea to them is to also consider these students who are also coming through the private university route. We are in the same educational landscape. So I would ask the government, the minister, as they are developing the policy and implementing it, to really be considerate of those students who choose to go to private universities. All right, and I think that's very important. Otherwise, the impact on the private enrollment could be very disastrous.
A reminder, still watching News 360, our major news bulletin for the day. We'll go for a quick break and return with some more stories.
Good evening and welcome to the business segment on News 360. My name is Minu Aful. Financial economist Dr. Erich Boachi-Yadom says Ghana can avoid returning to the international capital markets if government increases the country's tax-to-GDP ratio to 18%. His remarks follow a warning from the World Bank's country director for Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone, Robert Teliercio, who cautioned that an early return to international borrowing could be premature and risky.
World Bank country director argues that rushing back to the international markets could undermine investor confidence, potentially reversing the progress made under Ghana's debt restructuring efforts and exposing the country to unsustainable borrowing costs. His warnings come after Ghana secured significant relief through the $3 billion IMF Extended Credit Facility program.
I agree with the IMF country director that we should not be deceived by the restructuring of our debt. Both the domestic and the official creditors committee and the Eurobonds, all the three components has gone well, with the exception of about 7% that the minister mentioned the last time that they are trying to talk to some consortium of banks to be able to do that. But I think we have to be very careful.
Returning to the international capital markets could be costly, given Ghana's current low credit ratings. The government may need to focus on domestic revenue mobilization to stabilize the economy.
In the last 2 years or so, domestic revenue mobilization has almost doubled. In 2022, the nominal value of domestic revenue was around 75 billion. Then last year, they moved up to around 150 billion. So if the trajectory of domestic revenue mobilization continues and able to widen the tax to GDP ratio to maybe about 18%, we should be sufficient enough to use domestic revenue to be able to finance government activities.
Away from that, the Ghana Statistical Service has highlighted the crucial role of internal migration data in business planning and success. In addition to internal migration data derived from mobile call detail records provided by Ghanaian telecommunication companies, the service emphasizes the need for internal migration data to inform effective decision-making.
The Ghana Statistical Service has utilized mobile call detail records to generate internal migration data. This has the potential to revolutionize various sectors, including poverty mapping, tourism, traffic, and transportation. The innovative approach aims to provide valuable insights for decision-making, enabling businesses to better understand population movements and trends. According to government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina-Inim, companies can tailor their strategies to capitalize on emerging opportunities and flourish in the market.
The data that we've put out there is at the district level, so assuming you are running a business at the district level, and we are doing this monthly across the calendar year, so you know whether in January you have a lot more people moving in or a lot more people moving out, and that should guide whatever interventions that you have to do as a businessman. We are also using this to address some disaster challenges that we have. So for instance, what happened at Akosombo, as a businessman, if you know where people that are displaced are going to, you can find the right interventions and ensure that your goods receives the population that require your commodities.
Exploring internal migration through public-private data partnerships aims at leveraging administrative data for development.
Anytime we do a telephone transactions, either through a text message, a call, or whatever use of the phone, we leave behind digital footprints. So Ghana Statistical Service, like other national statistical services globally, have developed methodologies to ensure that the data goes through a certain process to retain the privacy and confidentiality associated with the calls and the text messages that we sent. In Ghana, we've associated with Telecel, and we're in the process of firming up a use case with MTN, which would allow us to use the call detail records.
The project was supported by flowminder.org, Office of National Statistics of UK and Foreign Commonwealth, and Development Office.
In more news tonight, the Center for Environmental Management and Sustainable Energy, CEMSC, has called on the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC, to prioritize oil exploration and production. Executive Director at CEMSC, Benjamin Nsia, expressed concern over GNPC's lack of crude oil production, emphasizing the potential for increased domestic oil revenue to bolster the government's budget. Nsia stressed the importance of GNPC actively engaging in production activities to contribute to the nation's financial stability.
We think that GNPC must also begin to do a lot of exploration and also produce oil. It's been over a decade that we've invested huge sums of money into the operationalization of GNPC in realizing petroleum. However, GNPC has not been able to perform its mandate well. The time has come for us to also begin to invest most of our resources in exploring and producing oil. And the more we produce, the more we get this revenue. The more we increase our stake, the more revenue comes in. And also the more we get a better hedging policy, the more revenue comes in. If none of these are done, what we think will happen is that Ghana will continue to lose a lot of revenue from the upstream, and that also goes to affect our budget.
Well, that's how we end the business segment here on News 360. My name is Menu Afo. Stay with us. We have more news for you coming up shortly.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Horeku Ampofo. Let's start off with our first story, where the Black Satellites have been handed a challenging draw for the 2025 CAF Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations, scheduled to take place in Cote d'Ivoire from April 26 to May 18. The draw that was held on Thursday in Cairo, Egypt, Ghana's Under-20 side was placed in Group A alongside host Cote d'Ivoire, Tanzania, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, and a yet to be determined team from the UNIFAC Zonal Union. The four-time Under-20 AFCON champions, who last won the tournament in 2021 under former coach Abdul Karim Zito, will be looking to make a strong impression in the competition under the guidance of head coach Desmond Ofei. A spot in the semi-finals guarantees a direct ticket to the 2026 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. The head coach of the team, Ofei, has been speaking to 3 Sports.
I mean, listen, I don't think we should look at the opponent and try to calculate how to maneuver. In my opinion, I think we are in a very good position. And I feel like if we prepare really well, we have everything in our own hands to take it as far as we want to take it. So I'm okay with a draw. The only unfortunate thing for me is that we're in a group of 5. So I think you'll have to play an extra game, which is not. We had the same issue with when we were in the WAFU qualifications, where we had to play one more game extra than Nigeria. We felt it in the final. But in this case, I think, like I said, we are in a good position. We just have to make sure we manage the whole situation well, have a really strong bench, so that when we rotate with this kind of games, then obviously we can have the upper hand. So all in all, we are very excited, and we can't wait for the tournament to start, because we only have one target, which is qualification to the World Cup.
Well, let's do some more stories where the Accra High Court has discharged former Ghana Football Association President Kwesi Nyantakyi and his co-accused after a protracted 5-year trial that saw the prosecution fail to present a single witness. The case, which stemmed from the 2018 investigative expose by journalist Anas Aremiya Anas, initially led to Nyantakyi's resignation and subsequent bans. The ruling, delivered by Her Ladyship Justice Marie-Louise Simons, followed the prosecution's inability to secure testimony from any of its 5 listed witnesses. With the criminal charges now dropped, questions remain about Nyantakyi's future, particularly in football administration. However, his 15-year ban from FIFA remains in place, restricting his involvement in the sport until further legal action is taken. We still do some more stories where Ghanaian coach George Boateng has emerged as a potential candidate for the vacant managerial position at Blackburn Rovers following the departure of John Eustace to Derby County. Boateng, who has a rich history in football both as a player and a coach, is currently on a short list that includes several other notable names. He recently worked as a first-team coach of Championship side Coventry City, a team where he previously played from 1998 to 1999. Before that, Boateng was part of Ghana's technical team, serving as assistant coach under Chris Hughton and then under Otto Addo. The coach has a lot of experience working in England, playing for clubs like Coventry City, Aston Villa, Middlesbrough, Hull City and Nottingham Forest. Boateng also coached youth teams including Blackburn Rovers Academy team, and then Aston Villa's under-18 and under-21 teams. Other coaches include Gary O'Neill, Braga's Carlos Cavallal, and ex-Young Boys coach Raphael Wiki are all reportedly in the running for the head coach role at Blackburn. Boateng, who recently left his role as one of Mark Robin's assistant coach, has expressed his desire to step into a managerial position. The urgency for Blackburn to secure a new head coach is heightened by their current stand in the Championship, where they are competing for a playoff spot with just 15 matches remaining in the season. Now, before we go, let's just get updates from the Europa League playoff games that are currently ongoing. The early kickoff matches already took place. The big winners already tonight is Jose Mourinho's side, Fenerbahce, who ran away comfortable victors against Anderlecht, winning by 3-0. And then there was also the case of Ajax, who went all the way to Belgium to face Royal Union Saint-Gilloise to pick up a 2-0 away victory. You can get updates of the upcoming playoff games on our social media handles at 3SportsGH. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
Entertainment news segment is brought to you by
Tonight in this segment, TV3's afternoon show celebrates its first anniversary, marking a successful year of delivering packed content on health, lifestyle, legal matters, and more, with unwavering commitment to providing compelling, life-impacting content. The show's producers are focused on taking the experience even further, aiming to engage and entertain the audience with more impactful stories and thought-provoking topics. We bring you highlights from the anniversary.
guys, thank you so much for being with us throughout the whole of 2024 and now 2025. It's good to have you. We promise you great content.
It's been an exciting year for TV3's afternoon show. A year filled with insightful discussions, captivating entertainment, and valuable advice on everything from health and lifestyle to legal matters. As the show celebrates its first anniversary, it's clear that this journey has been one of growth and innovation. In just 12 months, the afternoon show has become a trusted companion for viewers seeking both entertainment and information. From expert health tips to legal advice, the show has explored a variety of topics that matter most to you. The show hosts and producers have worked tirelessly, crafting content that both informs and entertains.
We cut this cake in the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Yes. Come, please.
You know we are outside.
Yes, we are outside.
Every single episode is well created with a lot of information, education. We make sure there's something that our viewers are taking, with them after watching the show. And so it's been very impactful. The feedback has been great, and I'm looking forward to an even bigger and better next 1 year.
The journey doesn't stop here. With a commitment to bringing even more compelling and impactful stories, the producers are geared up to take things to the next level.
1 year down the line, I mean, if you've seen what we've done in the last 1 year, the people we've interviewed, the people we've spoken with, the lessons drawn, the experiences, the places gone, I mean, you should expect nothing but the best from the afternoon show. It's taking a different lead now. It's going to be exciting. We're going out more, we're meeting new people, we're interviewing different people who are blazing trails. It's going to be very different.
Expect more exciting content that will continue to engage, inspire, and entertain. Here's to many more years on the afternoon show, where life's important moments come to life every weekday afternoon on TV3.
Let's now go for some sports of international news.
Liberian President Joseph Boakai has suspended more than 450 top government officials, including ministers, for failing to declare their assets to the anti-corruption agency. They will be off work without pay for a month or until they submit the required declarations, according to the presidency. Boakai said that the officials had contravened the code of conduct for state officials by not being transparent about what they own. The president, who had pledged to fight corruption when he came into office last year, said failure to comply undermined effort to combat corruption and ensure accountability. Among those suspended include the ministers for education and health, as well as the special envoys for tourism and investment. Mass firings at multiple U.S. government agencies have begun as President Donald Trump and Elon Musk accelerate their purge of America's federal bureaucracy. Termination emails have been sent in the past 48 hours to scores of government workers, mostly recently hired employees still on probation at the Education Department, the Small Business Administration, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and the General Services Administration.
Well, that's how we conclude News 360. Thanks very much for watching. For more news, you can log on to our website. It's www.3news.com. My name is Kwesi Asare.
And I am Portia. Gabor. Do join Alfred Cancer at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight. Good evening.